Some strike from the shadows with daggers, some crush their foes with mauls, while others defend their friends with suits of armor. What do all of these have in common? One of the crafting skills you can learn in ESO, blacksmithing. I'm LordKelbor and welcome to the channel. In this part of our guide series, I'll be focusing on the blacksmithing skill line in ESO. As usual, I've tried to make this as easy as possible for those who are newer to ESO, and as one of my subscribers pointed out, there seems to be quite a few who used to play but are just now returning to Tamriel, and to that I say welcome back. If you find this guide useful, do me a huge favor and let YouTube know by hitting that like button for me and commenting down below. I read every comment and try to respond to as many as I can. We're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers every day, but for that I'm gonna need your help. At the time of this recording, only about 5% of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you think you are, double check because you might not be. And don't forget to share this with your friends and family if you think it might help them as well. In this guide, I'll be covering blacksmithing in ESO, and I'll include both basic pieces as well as covering how to craft sets for your characters. Okay, let's get started. Inside of the blacksmithing bench, you'll see 6 tabs across the top. If you see my woodworking video, you'll notice that these are very similar. First we have refining, where you refine your raw materials into usable materials. Creation, where you create your items. Deconstruction, where you deconstruct pieces. Improvement, where you increase the quality of your weapons and armor. Research, which is how you learn new traits to add to your weapons and armor. And lastly, diagrams, where you'll find furnishings that you can make using your blacksmithing skills. Speaking of skills, let's go over the passives for blacksmithing. Under the crafting tab, we can see the blacksmithing skill line, where we'll see the passives we can get from this skill tree. Metalworking, which determines the level of materials we can use. Keen Eye, which causes ore nodes to glow when you're near them. Miner Hireling, this is a hireable NPC that goes out into the world to find and then mail resources to you. Metal Extraction, which increases the chances of getting tempers from raw materials in order to improve blacksmith items. Metallurgy, which decreases the research times and increases the number of items you can research at a time. And finally, Tempering. Tempering increases the chance of improving a blacksmithing item. Okay, back to the anvil. For this guide we'll be focusing on creation and improvement, but definitely check out the other tabs at your leisure. We'll be making a maul in this guide, but this can be applied to any of the other weapons or armor in the blacksmithing station. In order to make the item, we'll need to make sure we have the correct refined materials. Each material has a range of levels that it's able to make. So as we scroll through, you can see which material you'll need for the desired level of the weapon. Below the material section, we can see the style. This will determine what the weapon or armor looks like, and there are absolute tons of styles in ESO, and each one you'll have to learn in order to make it. The final option down is the trait. These add extra abilities to your weapons and armor, and you will have to research each trait in order to use it while crafting items. Once you select your desired trait, and as long as you have all the required materials, make sure everything looks right, and just hit craft. Done and done. You've made your first maul. Now this is a basic maul that can be enchanted and used. It will provide you with some benefits, depending on the trait and the enchant you've chosen to place on it. Okay, enough of the easy stuff. Let's move on to something a little more difficult. Craftable armor and weapon sets. Sets are items that give you bonuses based on the number of items you wear from that set, up to 5. These can be found throughout Tamriel, in treasure chests, dungeons, trials, etc. Fortunately, there's also a group of item sets that are craftable. There is a bit of a catch to this, but we'll go over that in a minute. In order to craft these sets, you'll need to find the crafting station location, which is shown on your map by this symbol. If you're in a larger guild, however, you may be lucky enough to have access to a large crafting area with all of the attunable crafting stations, like this. Let's head over and make a maul from the Ancient Dragon Guard set. Inside of the Creation tab, we can see that there are two new options. One for set creation of weapons and one for armor, along with the non-set creation tabs as well. Okay, so here's where the little catch comes into play for craftable sets. You'll have to have researched a certain number of traits in order to make a piece from that set. Taking Ancient Dragon Guard for example, you'll need to have learned 6 traits from whatever piece you're wanting to make in order to be able to make it. So when making this maul, I'll need to know any of the 6 traits for mauls. The creation process for a set is the same as making a basic piece. Select your material to determine the level, the style of the item you're wanting to make, and the trait you want on that piece. Once everything looks right, just hit craft and there we go. One Ancient Dragon Guard's maul. Now that we have it, we can see that it'll provide us with a set bonus based on the number of items we used from that set, up to 5. One great thing about two-handed weapons like the maul is that it counts for 2 items, so we automatically get the first set bonus. And just like regular items, we can enchant set items as well. I won't be covering enchantment in this guide, but if you do need help with that, check out my enchanting guide here, and I'll have a link to it in the description as well, in case you feel like finishing this video first. Moving on, we'll take a look at the Improvement tab. In the crafting station, we'll select that tab, then select the item, our maul, that we want to improve. Once selected, a window will pop up in the middle showing us what the stats will be if we decide to make this improvement. If the item is enchanted, that will be affected by the improvement as well. Once the correct item is chosen, and assuming you have the needed improvement materials, just hit improve, confirm your decision, and you're done. Now you know how to make your maul in the set that you want, as well as how to improve it. Even though we just made a maul in this guide, remember that this can be applied to any of the items inside of the blacksmithing station. Well, that's all for this guide. Now head down there and clobber that like button with your maul. And if you made it this far, head down to the comments and let me know what your favorite craftable item set is. As I've said before, I'm pretty partial to the New Moon Acolyte set. It's very useful for pretty much most of my characters. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and don't forget that little bell icon. That way YouTube knows that you want to know when I upload a new video. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.